Today's program is brought to you by OTCStockShark.com. For the latest and greatest OTC and Pink Sheets information, sign up for your account at OTCStockShark.com. Thank you for tuning in to TBC Today. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano.
In today's financial news, stocks fell on the final day of the market's worst month in more than a year as new economic data disappointed investors. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 83 points or 0.8%. Walt Disney was the measure's worst performer with a drop of 1.6%, while 3M was down 1.4% and Cisco Systems dropped 1.3%. The Dow is on pace to close out May with its biggest monthly drop since February 2009 and the biggest point drop in its history. It would also be the measure's worst percentage slide since 1962. The drop would snap a string of 3 consecutive monthly gains trading during May, which included the flash crash on May 6, has been particularly volatile. Cisco is one of the Dow's weakest components for the month with a decline of about 14%. Microsoft has fallen the most on a percentage basis this month. Its slip of 0.8% puts the technology giant stock down 17% for May. The Nasdaq Composite tumbled 1%, the S&P slipped 0.9%, with the energy and materials sectors leading the drop. The utilities and consumer staples sectors were the only categories in the black.
In U.S. news, lawmakers in both chambers of the Congress took steps towards repealing a ban on gays and lesbians serving openly in the U.S. military, a goal championed by President Barack Obama. The House of Representatives voted 234 to 194 to approve an amendment aimed at ending the Clinton-era Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy that allows homosexuals to serve in secret, but expels them if their sexual orientation becomes known. Visitors cheered in the House galleries after the vote, which followed similar action by a Senate panel a few hours earlier. There are still several more legislative steps before the change can become law. With our military fighting 2 wars, why on earth would we tell over 13,500 able-bodied troops that their services are not needed? Representative Patrick Murphy argued before the House voted on the amendment to a defense policy bill. Murphy, formerly in the U.S. Army, was the first veteran of the Iraq War to serve in Congress. He sponsored the House amendment. President Barack Obama said he was pleased with the vote. Even if Congress gives final approval to such bill, repeal also would require certification from Obama, the Defense Secretary, and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff that the new law would not have a negative impact on readiness, unit cohesion, recruitment, and troop retention.
In today's international news, at least 65 people were killed and at least 200 injured after a high-speed train derailed in eastern India and was struck by a cargo train traveling on a nearby track. Officials in the eastern state of West Bengal said that they believed Maoist rebels sabotaged the tracks, causing the derailment. Local television news channels showed images of a broken rail track which appeared to have a foot-long section missing. Police officials told reporters that they had found Maoist leaflets and posters at the site. The railways are a soft target, the railway minister said. The Maoists have attacked them in the past, and it seems even now. The police believe a bomb blast caused the derailment. West Bengal police units have recovered 65 bodies and 200 injured passengers.
In health news, British researchers said prescribing heroin to addicts who can't kick their habit helps them stay off street drugs. So far, doctors have had little hope of treating the 10% or more of heroin users who don't respond to methadone, the standard anti-addiction medication. Fueled by drug cravings, those users often spiral downward into crime and diseases spread by dirty needles and unhealthy living. Short of actually getting addicts off the drug, heroin clinics can at least get them off the street. To test how prescription heroin would work for this group, the researchers invited 127 addicts into supervised injected clinics. The researchers then randomly chose who would get heroin, injected methadone, or typical swallowed methadone. After 6 months, 101 addicts had stuck with their treatment. More than 2/3 of those on heroin had no sign of street heroin in their urine at least half the time they were tested. Before the study, they had been using the street drug almost every day. In comparison, less than 1/3 of the addicts on either type of methadone has a similar number of clean tests. At this point, several users have continued in the program for more than 2 years. He did not have exact numbers, but said that some had been able to get jobs and reconnect with their families. The researchers has to treat about 2 addicts for each one who gets off of street drugs at least half of the time. An estimated 3.7 million people in the U.S. have used heroin at some point in their lives, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Of current users, studies suggest that some 200,000 spend time in jails each year.
In today's tech news, members of the military's new Cyber Command insist that they've got no interest in taking over civilian internet security or even becoming the Pentagon's primary information protectors. But the push to intertwine military and civilian network defenses is gaining momentum. At a gathering of top cybersecurity officials and defense contractors, the Pentagon's number 2 floated the idea that the Defense Department might start a protective program for civilian networks based on a deeply controversial effort to keep hackers out of the government's pipes. U.S. Cyber Command officially became operational after years of preparation, but observers inside and outside the military still aren't quite sure what the command is supposed to do. Protect the Pentagon's networks, strike enemies with logic bombs, seal up civilian vulnerabilities, or some combination of all three. To one senior Cybercom official, the answer is pretty simple. Smaller military units within U.S. Strategic Command coordinated and set policies for armed forces, far-flung teams of network operators and defenders. Those coordinators and policymakers are now all a part of Cybercom. They'll still do the same thing as before, only more efficiently. It doesn't expand any authorities, it doesn't have any new missions, it's not significant increase in personnel. They just recognize the personnel that they already had in a smarter and more effective way. But that may soon change. A 356-page classified plan outlining Cybercom's rise has been put into action. A team of about 560 troops headquartered in Fort Meade, Maryland, will eventually grow to 1,093. Each of the 4 armed services are assembling their own cyber units out of former communication specialists, system administrators, and network defenders, as well as military hackers. Those units are then supposed to supply some of the troops to Cybercom as needed. It's similar to how the Army and the Marines provide Central Command with combat forces to fight the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Inside the military, there's a sense that Cybercom may take on a momentum of its own, its missions growing more and more diverse.
When you've got a serious leak, it's time for Leakender 2000. It fixes any leak fast, no matter what's leaking. Just spray it with Leakender 2000, and in minutes, the leak is sealed. Look, we'll cut this garden hose with a knife, then shut off the water and spray on Leakender 2000. Minutes later, the hose is as good as new. The cut is sealed. Leakender 2000 is a unique compound that fills and seals any crack or separation as it hardens. Why put up with gushing gutters, dripping drains, wet windowsills, and rain-soaked RVs? Leakender 2000 stops all those leaks, and it's yours for only $14.95. Call now and we'll double your order. We'll send you this giant-size can at no extra charge. Order now.
To order, have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-936-0300 or send check or money order for $14.95 plus $5.95 shipping to the address on your screen. Call 1-800-936-0300.
In entertainment news, R&B singer-songwriter Alicia Keys is expecting her first baby and plans to marry her longtime boyfriend later this year, according to a rush of tabloid reports. The 29-year-old multiple Grammy winner is currently on tour in Europe and is scheduled to perform at the Football World Cup in South Africa next month. Her baby's due date was not known, and a record label spokeswoman did not immediately reply to an email seeking more information. Alicia is engaged to 31-year-old producer-rapper Swiss Beats, who already has a son from his first marriage. The report said that they would tie the knot during a private ceremony. Her latest album, The Element of Freedom, peaked at number 2 on the U.S. pop chart in December, ending an unbroken string of 4 chart toppers. Its first week sales were 44% lower than those for a previous release, 2007's album, As I Am.
In today's Green News, Microsoft has been working away at improving their home platform, the energy management website that they built for people interested in monitoring and minimizing their energy use. One of the features that most companies focusing on dashboards for energy management are determined to include is allowing a user to compare their consumption to that of similar households. It sparks that competitive spirit and boosts how often people sign in to check their energy consumption. Microsoft has added this feature to Home, and now you can compare your energy use to that of 60 million other U.S. homes. Called Home Scores, the new feature ranks houses by calculating public record information about the home size, age, and location, adding in addition to a typical weather pattern, average utility bills, and other factors. All combined, they generate a score between 1 and 100, with 100 being perfect energy efficiency. Home states that this feature represents the first time a consumer has access to national information about how other households are performing in energy use. It's important to note that small details make huge changes in comparison. Factors like environment, square footage, landscape features, the number of people living in the home, and design features like passive solar heating and cooling, insulation, window types, and so on will dramatically alter comparisons. Thank you for tuning in to TBC Today. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano.